So, welcome to Social Sessions. Today we are joined with Vivienne Betteridge, host of Gers TV, and with a great story. So, Vivienne, it's great to have you.
Pleasure.
So, what I'm going to do is I just always do it with all my guests, take you right back to the start. So, we obviously grew up in the same area. You grew up in Eastfield. What was that like for you growing up as a kid?
Well, growing up in Eastfield, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I've got a great family. I grew up with my younger brother, and I've got my mum and dad, and they're still in Eastfield to this day, so I'm still through there all the time. Always nostalgia. But
just not with Smitty anywhere.
No, no, the Smitty or the lodge. But no, I think growing up, it was, I mean, some of the most fun times of my life. Certainly interesting times. And it's funny, even though I'm 38, every time I drive through, and I'm through there most nights, I still get a lot of memories about my childhood and things that I got up to. And they'll live with me forever. Some good, some bad. But I think as we get older, maybe even the bad things you learn from, and you don't look at them as bad anymore, you know?
I know. I think as we speak about it often, Vivienne, and how you have to learn from your mistakes, and
exactly
the people that tend not to learn from the mistakes are the people that get caught up in the kind of vortex of addiction or like trauma or whatever. So what was the kind of things you were doing? Like obviously, like I was faking Dora, and I remember I do remember you coming down and hanging about Dora, and we all used to do that scheme hopping thing, and obviously, so what was it like growing up, like as a teenager and stuff? Was there anything in your childhood that was kind of stood out or made a difference, or maybe like you can look back now and say that's maybe why that caused that? Or
I think I mean, for a young age, I was always out playing. I loved being outside. I was never in the house. I was always into going out and being around my friends. So I think when I reached maybe 12, 13, 14, you find your people, as I say, your tribe. Mine was Eastfield. And there was a lot, I think at that time, going back when obviously I knew you as well, there was so many of us. And, you know, there would be you would go down to the Craigland bus stop. And I remember maybe one of my first memories would be like seeing the older ones, and it would be the fighting with Westfield and the underpasses. And you were like, it was just so exciting, the adrenaline. And you're like, what's this? I remember being with one of my friends and actually hiding in the bushes because our older brothers were down there and about it. And we were just totally mesmerised, and we thought we were just it was just amazing. But yeah, there would be a good group of us, and I think I can say, I think from a young age as well, I remember getting my first drink probably about maybe my first carry out, maybe about 12-year-old. And again, it was just everyone was doing it, and you were staying out late, and just it was brilliant, you know. And you would have the tunes on, and we had a great kind of, I think with Eastfield, maybe different for Cumbernauld, there's not that many streets in Eastfield, so we were very close. And yeah, we were just, I can say certainly that's kind of paved out a lot how my life ended up further down the line, certainly.
I know, I obviously I remember going up to Eastfield like with McDo and all that, and like boys, I used to, McDo was a great boy, I used to like all the boys, do you know what I mean? And there was a lot of guys from Eastfield that I liked. So I've got fond memories of Eastfield. Like it wasn't a place that I didn't like go on with everybody, and as you say, it was like, but I also had pals in Westfield, so it was weird. And it's so weird when you grow up, because I think I always try and get through it, especially the younger ones, is see that tribal thing that you have will go away, and eventually these people become your pals.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I mean, how many people did you probably know got on with just because of Westfield, and then knew that you're friends? And it's just when you're that age, you're small, it's that tribal thing. As you say, fling alcohol into the mix at a young age, and you've got carnage. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think the cycle's starting to maybe come back round again, because I've seen a lot of young ones hanging about the streets again. And I don't know, just recently I seen a post, I don't know if you've seen a post about Cumbernauld, and it was saying there was going to be like a lot of police, and they were going to have like the police mounted units out. They were going to have the kind of dirt bikes out in the
I didn't
quads and
realise
stuff like
that.
that.
Right, okay.
Because of the antisocial behaviour in Cumbernauld. And
Yeah.
to me, that's the start of it all kind of coming back. That kind of, and I don't ever want MD to come back, because there was a lot of things that happened that wasn't great, Vivienne, do you know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of situations that people get into, and I always remember, I don't know if you remember, I mean, I don't like naming names, but I don't know if you remember Suter, God rest him, but Kevin wasn't a fighter, do you know what I mean? And he got caught up in something that he wasn't really party, do you know what I mean? And he went into prison.
Yep.
And kind of ended up going down the wrong path, which then led to him ultimately like dying at a young age, do you know what I mean? And these are the things that happen, do you know what I mean? When people don't see the kind of bad things, do you know what I mean? If that makes sense, Vivienne. But you do have great times, like go to Paps and all this. It's all great memories. Nice. So what was it like? What was the kind of things that you were seeing, but that you probably shouldn't have been, Vivienne, at that age? Like, what were the kind of things? Was it just kind of all the gang stuff? And I
think the gang stuff, certainly. And for a young age, probably drugs. Looking back, it's only now that I'm 38, I'm like, oh goodness. Like, I think from a young age, I did see a lot at a very young age. I think what puzzles me is why I was so drawn to it. Mm-hmm. Why did I at a young age think that's what I want out of life? Or like I glamorized it. Yeah, I kind of thought I was dead attracted to that way of life. It was like, I don't know, the thought of going out and having a drink. That's all I lived for. I woke up I suppose you do live for your pals at a young age, and
of course
it was getting into trouble or finding out about what was happening and who had been up to this. And I think, like, for myself, I had made a decision at an early age that I thought, yeah, this is a life I want to live, and I want to be involved with people that are in about all these kind of controversial things in life, you know. And even the prison, it was like, yeah, even I spent a lot of my life going up prisons and visiting friends, but I thought I was really proud of that. I thought that was like, yeah, I'm making it in life.
You would have been helping people, and I think it's very easy to get distorted. And I know some of the people you're talking about, I'm not going to say names, but I know some of the people that you're talking about, and they were involved in kind of organised crime and stuff, and they end up in stuff like...
Yep.
So it's like, can you see that connection then, where it's a kind of evolution from there to there to there, and then you'll maybe see people dropping out at some stage, maybe go, that's not for me, and then so the clan kind of gets weird.
That's
if
spot
that makes
on.
sense.
That's,
you know what I mean?
Massive, yeah.
But by the clan getting weird, the clan gets tighter, if you know what I mean. So it's like that. I think that's something that you see quite a lot. Do you know what I mean? And I just hope that I'd like any younger person just know to go through that we went through. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you've hit the nail in the head saying that, because I think from my personal experience, what happens is the chapter keeps repeating itself. So what should happen is you go through that phase and the door closes.
Right.
But what, in my experience, certainly, if you keep pushing for the good times.
Aye.
How many times can you sit with your friends and you go...
Try to relive
but do you remember if you ever meet up with your friends, they'll talk about one particular night? And how often does that night come up? Probably bits added on over the years as well. It's always back in 2002, back in 1994. But what happens is, from experience, the door... So I kept... Maybe when the circle did get tighter, and a lot of my friends did go into jail, right? And I mean, I even tried to take myself out a lot. Yeah, I moved over to the East End when I was, my early 20s, because what I did as well is I kept running away from my problems, or maybe the drug taking especially, thinking that, if I take myself away. But what used to happen is I would move to a new place, and all of a sudden I would be in the same, doing the same thing again. I'm going, what's the problem here? I was the problem, right? But anyway, so what happens is, if you don't close the door, you're not evolving. But then what happens is, over and above that, that's when trauma happens, and that's when, if you're constantly maybe drinking or drug taking, it's then having an adverse effect in your life. its impact, and it becomes unmanageable, doesn't it? Because then your body at one point doesn't respond the same. You don't have the same fun times, daytimes that you're chasing. It's like even drug taking, you end up taking more of the drug. You end up taking more drink. And you end up doing things and you're going, I'm not even enjoying this, but all of a sudden you're still sitting there doing it. And a lot of your friends have all left the party. They've either maybe, God forbid, bad things. We've had deaths, we've had jail, but then you do have the ones as well that were fortunate enough maybe to meet somebody nice and have kids. I mean, I have had a lot of friends for Eastfield as well that are happily settled, happily married, and I often think, well, I was quite unlucky. I didn't, unfortunately, kind of go down that path, because again, when you're in that cycle of maybe in about the wrong things, you're attracting what you put out.
So do you think that maybe attracted the type of guy you were looking for then? If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think I had a reflection in this the other day, and this is quite a statistic. But I think I didn't ever date anyone that wasn't like a dealer. I was actually trying to think about that. That is a statistic and a half. But yeah, certainly, because and you're getting introduced to people.
It's certainly not about money and all that, but because that's not your thing.
I'm so not materialistic.
So it's
it was more the bad boy.
It's more the bad boy. And listen, there's loads of girls out there that like that. And
the protective. I think I've done a lot of work in myself, and obviously I'm in recovery, and I'll touch on that in a wee while. But I think now what I notice is as well, I like that I thought that was maybe that protective thing, because my friends, and as you know, my friends in Eastfield were a lot older. And I always had that wrapped up in cotton wool. And not only that, they always treated me with respect. They were always really nice. Unfortunately for me, when I went out into the bad world, when I moved away, I thought every man would have been like that, would have treated me with respect, would have been nice to me. But that's not the way life works, I'm afraid.
I know, and I think obviously you've moved with that tribe, if you like, as we call it, and a big shout out to all these field boys that will be listening to this, because I always did go on with all these field boys, and and I know some of the guys are struggling, and some of the guys are maybe, but there's a lot of guys doing really well for themselves for that same world. And as you say, we both know people who lost their life maybe through suicide, overdoses and stuff like that, who were lovely people, and I would have classed as friends, do you know what I mean? So it's sad, it's sad to see that, but it is also, the story needs to be told that this is a cycle, that it's not a good thing to go down, and it's no glamorizing it. It's not going to make it any better. Like if you sit and glamorize that life you had,
exactly,
it's only going to show the next maybe young person that watches this to go, well, that's me, do you know what I mean? And rather than connecting with you and going, listen to your story and going, that's the way I am, but then you're going to later on talk about how you've worked on yourself and you've managed to come up with solutions for some of this stuff.
Exactly. I think as well, when you're young, the problem is as well, it must be harder for young folk now with social media. Because there's this image to maintain more. I mean, when we were younger, we never had Facebook or Instagram or... I mean, what I like, the positive side of social media is now you see a lot of the young people getting into fitness, and we'll talk about that. And that's such a good thing. So there is different things that maybe when we were younger we didn't know about, or it wasn't there, it wasn't available to us. When did you ever hear any of us going to the gym when we were...
No. I played football a few times out training, and then that was it, you know what I mean?
But we didn't have these accessible gyms, or you see the young people out now, Nando's and coffee shops and getting their fraps. That wasn't us. So I do think there's been a shift, certainly. And I think what's nice is with social media, taking a bit of positivity out of it, as young folk can see that there is a nice life out there if you want it. Whereas I felt when we were young, my G68 postcode was all I knew. I didn't see it beyond G68. I didn't even think about leaving Eastfield at one point.
I think I talk about it often in the way that coming from Cumbernauld, and obviously Cumbernauld just a wee town, and when you do go into like Pullman and you go into prison, your bubble gets burst, because you do see the reality of like real criminals and stuff like that, who are maybe like a lot more criminally minded than you and maybe brought up and stuff, and you don't, you see what you want to see when you're young. You're in a bubble, do you know what I mean? And you kind of see it, but when you go into these kind of places, and this is where I can't try and push these things, and as we've spoke about, this thing can happen to anybody, like these prison sentences and stuff like that can happen to anybody at any time for daft fights, like outside a pub. And it's sometimes, me and Gary, I know you know Gary Fraser, but me and Gary Fraser were talking about yesterday, we were saying, how do we even, like, what is a BAM, right?
That's
but people will die, right? But people will die for getting called a BAM.
I don't even know
what it is.
It's funny because somebody told me that. It's the most offensive word you can say without swearing.
Aye, but you're a BAM. People will die for that. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, I don't even, there's not even a definition for a BAM. What is it? Do you know what I mean? So obviously, so that was good. So you obviously, what happened? So you moved away, obviously, Vivienne. I know you moved away, and then so where did you move to next?
So a bit controversial, yeah. So I think things were getting really wild in Eastfield at the time.
Was you just partying every night and stuff? Like?
Yeah, well, my friends were heavily involved with things, and I was getting to the stage where I was probably taking a lot. My choice of drug was cocaine. And I was really hammering it. I mean, I was probably taking that. I was working for the council at the time. I remember, like, it was wild. It was wild.
Vivienne, but see the whole thing. It's so widely. It's socially acceptable these days.
I think the best it wasn't even that socially acceptable back then. I remember sitting and it would be like. I'd be sitting and even my friends would be like, things became very serious because what had happened was one of my friends had went to jail getting caught down in the motorway with a lot of stuff as well. And all of a sudden the dynamics of the circle changed. You know who I'm talking about. And all of a sudden it went for Ollie is going out every weekend to one person then being like, well, one person owed a lot of money, the other person was going away for a long time, and how do you then sit in a Friday night or Saturday night having a great time when one of your best friends is waiting for a sentence? And that's when tension became between us all.
Money. I've spoken about this before, like money, when you've got, and whether you agree, disagree, there's loads of things, there's different ways, and people, this is the thing, criminal gangs or organisations or whatever you want to call them will work different ways. And sometimes people will go, well, if you get caught, the bill gets scrubbed, do you know what I mean? Then other people will say, no, if you get caught, you still owe me the money. Do you know what I mean? So this is where a lot of people would say that, well, that's how we're not as close as we thought then. If you're still wanting him to pay that money, surely, and we know you've got loads of money, why are you needing him to put him under this kind of pressure? Exactly. So the dynamics change. I think people end up getting more, thinking they're bigger than what they are, and becoming that kind of legend in their own head kind of thing, do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, as you say, the dynamics change. It's not as enjoyable. Exactly. People start taking like they've got addictions and they won't admit it. They don't know they've got addictions. They wouldn't be willing to ever take any advice from anybody. So the dynamics, as you say, what age is this about, Vivienne? Because it's quite interesting, probably about 24, 25
Oh,
maybe?
No, I was much younger. You're talking this is when I was 19, 20.
19, 20.
Yeah, so this, just to clarify, this was a long time ago. A very long time ago. And I was much younger. I was before, because 19, 20, because I had a brief stint when my mum and dad split up. I was going through a lot in my own life. And that changed the dynamics of everything, because I did move away. I think I first moved away when I was 22. And I never ever got involved with drug dealing. Nothing like that. My friends, however, it was different. I was a girl though. They were all, the majority, well, they were all males. So for me, unfortunately, I get caught up in taking it. So then when I moved, I met a girl when I was on holiday in Cancun. I met a girl and she was a stripper, believe it or not. And we kept in touch. She was great. She was a lovely girl. So I've came back and I knew I had to get away from Eastfield, because things were just, obviously my friend went away and we were all just, things weren't fun anymore.
Aye.
And I knew myself that I needed to get out this life. I had to get away. And
did you feel stuck, Vivienne?
I felt stuck. I was so miserable, because when you take drugs, you know yourself, you can lie in bed for hours, your head's just going, and like... Did
it start to become like
shameful
and guilty and all that
and
kind of
I
stuff?
Started to find out that, I mean, looking back now, obviously I'm in recovery, but looking back now, I couldn't figure out why I kept doing it, and I didn't enjoy doing it.
Aye.
See, I always say that's when you kind of know you've got a problem, and you start doing something and you don't want to do it, but you can't, you're powerless.
Gabber describes it as any behaviour that gives you release in the short term, but in the long term causes
absolute chaos.
Causes like a lot of hurt, and so, but you can't stop doing it. Yeah, that's the definition of addiction for Gabber. So that's probably what you were doing.
Exactly. The craving,
and craving that old lifestyle that's not there.
Totally.
And trying to crave that.
All you're doing is trying to get, because I think as well, from a young age, I was obviously involved in all like that kind of life, right? And genuinely, I didn't know how to have a different life. And the options weren't there. At that point in my life, the opportunity, maybe when I was 19, 20, I couldn't just start a new life. Like, how do you do that?
What was your belief system like at this time, Vivienne? Was your self-esteem low and that?
Yeah, very much so.
Because you were always kind of confident, but obviously I know people, like your friends with my partner and stuff like that, and I know, like, you could just scratch the surface with you, and there was, your self-esteem wasn't as the way your confidence would portray you. Do you know what I mean? Do you think you can trace that back to, like, maybe like somewhere in your childhood or something? Like, maybe was there ever something that, like, because I can trace mine back to probably when I was getting bullied as a young boy.
Yeah.
Young, like when I say like maybe 8, I was only Catholic in the street. And listening to the guys I'm talking about are all my pals now, but they're a lot older than me, and they kind of picked on me and stuff like that. And then when I fought back, I realised that was, you could win with that, doing that. Do you know what I mean? And they didn't want to come and hurt you anymore. So you learn that. So as a girl, there might have been, I don't know if you could, I don't know if you did when you were a kid, because obviously at school, we've all got primary school, we've got different kind of.
It was tough, yeah.
So there must be a reason why you like that protector thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? There must be a reason there that you like that protector thing, you know what I mean?
Protect, yeah. I think I grew up in a household that I will say, I don't know, I think the older generation certainly are very different. My parenting from my family were probably more, I don't know, it wasn't open. It wasn't like I communicated. It was like I had to hide everything. I was like, I rebelled for an early age. School didn't work out. Primary was fantastic. I went to Eastfield. Greenfalls was horrific. It was a challenge. People just didn't like you. I think with Eastfield as well, there wasn't a lot of people from Eastfield went to my school. Most of them went to St Maurice's. So when I started Greenfalls, I did get a hard time. But I can't say it was like, I suppose we could say a lot of people got a hard time. But I play it down. I probably do play it down. I've actually, like, I've been diagnosed with PTSD and everything. And I'm quite interested. I have to still do a lot of my treatment and go back. So it might be something that maybe I could revisit that in the future and say, actually, a lot did happen. And I'm not giving it.
If that's not your day, if anything knocks your self-esteem on a daily basis, it's just chipping away at you, Viv, and that is certainly something that when you're not dealt with, you'll carry it on into your life, and so that's certainly where alcohol and drugs will fill that gap for a while.
It did. Even at high school, I was constantly dogging it. I was never at school.
Because school wasn't the way it is now. It was rough. It was tough.
We didn't even have a uniform in Greenfalls.
It was like dog eat dog. I remember coming up to the Greenfalls, like, and coming up to like the gates and stuff, and
it's carnage.
It was a mad school, but
it was smoked and done what you wanted.
I remember actually trying to get into the Greenfalls disco. Like somebody opened the back door trying to get us in the Greenfalls disco. I remember I mean, just looking back at the stupidity of the things you've done, but there's things that you probably should have learned from and you never. And I think there's reasons for that. Do you know what I mean? And I can always think back to my reasons why I was like out at the weekends and kind of like drinking and stuff at the weekends.
An escape.
And it was escape. And it was, I think it was just down to probably looking at that early kind of bullying stuff. Do you know what I mean? Probably not dealing with that in the right way. Do you know what I mean?
I think you're right.
And obviously,
and that's when your tribes
forums. That's what I'm saying. It's exactly.
Because that was exactly they protect you,
and then
exactly.
you become. Well, that's what happens. And your it's like my mum. I've got, you know, my mum and dad. I've got fantastic parents. Do you know what I mean? And I don't have a. I don't see when I look back, they didn't do anything wrong in my life. Do you know what I mean? They were really always there for me in every way. Yeah. They maybe didn't like the amount I was drinking and stuff, and they would challenge me on that, just like anybody else and stuff.
Of course.
But I didn't drink every day and all that. I was only like Friday night, I would go have a good night. That was it, because that was the way I was. I wasn't a big drinker, like even back then. I wasn't like a huge drinker. Do you know what I mean?
No, me neither.
But I knew some of my pals that was going down that road, and then I started to go to college. And when I went to college at 16, I kind of grew away from a lot of it. Do you know what I mean? And never really. I started I always went to Papa Doc's and that on a Friday night. Do you know what I mean? But I think everybody in Cumbernauld went there. Do you know what I mean? That's where all the madness happened. But I actually was quite well liked. I got on with I kind of got on with everybody. But looking at stuff, it's interesting to see where that's maybe formed for Vivienne. Do you know what I mean?
think, yeah. See, now that we're talking, this is like therapy. Because funnily enough, when I started hanging about with the older ones from Eastfield, and you're talking when I was 18, my friends were 30 odd, like crazy, absolute crazy. Right?
I know all the ones you're talking about.
And they all done very well for themselves. But you're right, because when I left school, I was so shy and no confident, and I never had a lot of friends. And then all of a sudden, I was hanging about with these people that were just like, it was just a transformation of life overnight. And it was adventurous, and they had money, and we'd done lots of things. Like, don't get me wrong, I remember like for my 18th, and they all took me bowling. We'd go out for dinner all the time, and I was like, yeah, like this life, I can get used to this. You know,
because it's not. People don't realise, I think, that all this kind of stuff and crime, the media portray it in a certain way. It's nothing like that.
It's normal. There's a lot of normality.
You need to dig deep into it and the reasons why people do these things.
Exactly.
And it's all done, to me, it all comes back to working class, poverty, do you know what I mean? And
totally
coming together, tribalism. I actually done a podcast about prison tribalism.
You're
same
safer.
Thing.
In numbers.
Definitely. And the same thing happens in prison. You end up becoming, you get your enemy tribe in there and stuff, and they keep you safe, and do you know what I mean? That's just the way things are.
One of the worst forms of human torture, and this goes for obviously like yourself, like the prison life, and even out there now, is isolation.
Isolating yourself is one of the worst things you can do, and you know yourself how bad that can be.
Living in your own head, and your own head can be and forget what's out there. It's what's in here is your biggest enemy in life.
Worst enemy.
And what do we do? It's easier to go out and be around people, and it might not be the right people. I know, but it's people.
Definitely, and I think it's where you're chasing that because you're disconnected for yourself, right? You're that disconnect. You're getting connection, you're getting validated for exterior validation, if that makes sense. So you're getting validated from a group of people who are then getting validated for you. Exactly. So what you're doing is you're connecting with each other, but you're only actually looking inside and dealing with any of our problems. Everybody's got their own problems, but you're actually just kind of like, probably you'd have been there helping if somebody was having a meltdown or whatever, they would phone about, how you doing? And I'm struggling. Do you know what I mean? And you'd be the one, whereas you're not actually dealing with your problem. It's mad.
We had in fact, my friend, obviously they went away for a long while, and we had a rule, and it used to be, we called it therapy, and we played poker. But whenever we played poker, somebody would chip in and tell everyone's problems at the table, right? And we'd have a gig. We'd be sitting up for days, right? And honestly, we'd be knotted. But all this trauma used to come out during poker, right? It was Dave, right? And he'd be like, Vivienne, you didn't realise it back then, but that was actually free therapy. And it was. And we did. And, you know, see, once it was out and the problem shared, and once it was thrown out there, that problem became alive, and then that problem was away. And that was a weight off all our shoulders. And we did, that was our wee laugh that we used to, and it's so true. So that's what I mean. I can totally, I think, so going back to what you said, so I met a girl, and she was a stripper, and I'd just totally idolised her. She's still my friend to this day. And she worked all over Britain, to one of the top. And I ended up, so I think she'd split up with her boyfriend, and I was really miserable at this point, and I just wanted away from my old life. I was like, I can't live like this anymore. And it was just the same vicious circle of taking drugs constantly, drinking and missing work. And I think I'd started my degree at this point. I don't know how I managed to keep it all together, but I managed to do a 6-year Bachelor of Arts Business and Management degree in my early 20s for 6 years at night, plus work full time. So she was like, come and live with me. There's a flat in Denniston in East End. I think one of our pals owned it. So I threw myself into that. And then from that, I ended up, again, to try and keep me in. She worked in the strip club. And the owner used to come in my house quite a lot. He's like, how do you fancy working in the strippers? I was like, why not? Not, just to clarify, not as a stripper, but what I did, that's actually how I ended up meeting my wee boy's dad. So it was. So I ended up, worked in Platinum. I done the cloakroom and also done VIP waitressing. And it kept me, again, you met a clique, a community of people. So I had my flat in Denniston. I was doing my degree, and I worked in there on the weekends. And do you know what? It was actually a really fun environment. It was fun. It was actually quite a lot of people from Cumbernauld that used to come in.
Can imagine who.
But again, the problem was the drugs.
I know.
And my flatmate was very heavily involved. And I went from jumping into one kind of crazy world into another crazy world. And then I had two. But yeah, so again, it was very, as you say, it was just everywhere. But so then I was still heavy using and drinking. I was even drinking while working. There's
definitely something there, Vivienne, where you're being attracted to probably groups of traumatised people, right? That are playing out their trauma.
Yeah.
And I kind of...
I guess... say healthy boundaries, but what happens is when you're not at that stage, it was maybe more attachments, we would call it.
Definitely. Oh, it's definitely attachment, and you've got
an obsession.
And you end up with people that understand you. You're in a group of people who understand what you're talking about. They don't.
Yeah.
It's like if you were to go away and you were to start trying to hang about with your people for the university, they probably wouldn't get anything you're talking about. So why would you waste your time? Do you know what I'm talking about? So you're still young, you're at an age where you still want to have a good time, but now the good times are starting to kind of out, the bad times are starting to come in. You're getting a wee bit older, the drugs are taking their toll, things like that. Do you know what I mean? The addiction's coming in and you probably don't even know that your addiction.
Definitely, yeah.
Addiction's a word that a lot of people are scared of. Do you know what I mean? It's no a nice topic. Do you know what I mean? To start looking at yourself and going. So what happened there? So you moved on. You met.
I moved to Denniston, and so I ended up actually met someone, my wee boy's dad. And we were kind of on and off for a really long time, but unfortunately, that relationship was. I think that's when things just really went wrong in my life. There was a lot of domestic violence, and I mean, without going into. I don't ever speak bad of people, but because I've done a lot of healing and working myself, and I know why at the end of the day I attracted that into my life, because I was also toxic as well. So I ended up moving over, I think when I was in my early 20s, I moved over to Clydebank. I bought my first house, determined to make it work. But my ex-partner, he also had a lot of trauma. There was obviously different things happening in his life and it just didn't work. It was so toxic between us.
But it's like two people attracted into it with
so
toxicity,
much
and that's what happens. But
so
toxicity
much.
attracts toxicity,
and
it's because you get each other right. But if you're not working on it, it can be catastrophic, because both of these are now hitting a kind of stage where it's just blown up. And
it was.
Do you know what I'm talking about? And
I did. I fell apart over that. I mean, you're talking for what, the age 20? Bjorn's, well, I had Bjorn when I was, what, 29? No, just 30 actually. So I never, that was for the age of like 23 right up until 29. And it took, I mean, I actually lost two kids during that time. I lost so much. I get left in lots of debt. I talk about, obviously, the abuse as well, mental abuse, physical abuse. It was all there. It was all there, and it happened over a long period. I was in and out Women's Aid. I was homeless. I lived out of bags. I mean, this is me. I can actually open up about this, but I lived out of bin bags for I don't know how long in my life. Like, and it became, the scary thing was, I didn't even see my family for a long time. Clothes I kept going back. You know how a lot of relationships like that, there's what can happen is, again, you form a negative attachment. Our brains are conditioned, and then all of a sudden I would get away and I'd be like, right, I know we're not good.
You don't love them.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
there was trauma for both sides.
You know what I mean?
And it was, I think I'm one of these people, I never looked in the way. I thought I could fix him. Do you know what I mean? I was a fixer, a healer.
And if you're not fix yourself,
exactly,
you're just going to be enabling, and you don't realise that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just making things a lot worse.
But it's dead interesting to see how you've went through that kind of amazing part of life to do you know what I mean? Like, but that was getting bad as well, as you can see. But then you've moved on to a toxic relationship. Then
it went for Cancun, holidays in Dubai, to then being in a council house in Clydebank. Skint. Literally it was. And I mean skint, but I was also homeless quite a lot. Which is
mad, because obviously I just know you. I knew you, but obviously I know you're good friends with my partner. And,
I never told. See, this is another thing. I hid away for years and years. I remember actually staying in a flat in Millcroft with a truck driver, and that was when I was pregnant. Believe it or not. Because what would happen is...
Why would you know, like, of just out of interest, if you don't need answers or whatever, but why would you know of, like, reached out to Fiona and like, were you embarrassed, or was that what it was? Just like...
I was broken. I was a shelly a person, and I mean,
I get it. I get like why you would go, like, I'm no, like, do you know
I
had
a few friends for Eastfield that came out to see me a few times. A few of the boys used to come out and they would just be like,
what an amazing transformation. Like, no, but that is. And you've done, this is with the power of,
I think,
doing work on yourself and recovering and stuff.
Getting our point, like, across the point of, obviously we're doing this today, and as you said, we don't want other people to go down this path in life. And what I will say is, a lot of these mistakes that I made, especially with the relationship, with the type of people that I attracted, this could have all been prevented if I'd made better decisions earlier, certainly, or aware of the help. I think when we were younger, I didn't know about mindfulness. I didn't know about looking in the way. I didn't know about counselling. I didn't. It would be like even the thought of coming out to one of your friends and going, "I'm struggling."
I know.
That wasn't. No. There was no Instagram to sit and look at a meme or of a good quote of the day.
I know.
There was nothing like that. No. All I knew was my street in Eastfield. Boom, I went to Glasgow. Next minute, I'm in East End. But it was like the weight in your shoulders. Like, you'll know what I'm talking about. This weight, constant weight to just go on with it. Just man up and deal with it. Just deal with it. And then you kind of just accept your life for what it is as well. I think when you go through domestic violence especially, I gave up. I went and accepted everything that was going on, and I don't know how many times I went, and do you know what? I can't. If anything happens to me, I didn't care what happened to me, because I took that much up there there was no up there. There was nothing working up there at all.
Did you ever contemplate like no being here, Vivienne?
Oh, aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
So you did get to the kind of rock bottom, right?
Oh, massively.
So more positive stuff now, right? We've spoken about the kind of negative, right?
Yeah, there's so much positive.
Honestly, thanks for being so honest, because I think we need more honesty in this world. I think in this the new.
Oh, definitely.
We need healing, and I talk about it all the time.
We need real. We do
the
need
working
real.
class people, we're all divided for whatever reasons. He's right wing, he's left wing, he's
I know.
He's Celtic, he's Rangers, he's just, you know what I mean? And truth be told, we all need to kind of come together to help each other, do you know what I mean? And I think there's a design out there, and me personally, I think there's a social design out there to keep us where we are. Do you know what I mean?
Me and you have had
keep us
chats about this.
We've spoken
firmly, 1,000,000% agree that we're set up, we're conditioned in life to fear what we don't know.
Aye.
And pass judgment on something that we don't understand. I think a lot of it does come, I mean, I've looked back though, I think maybe our parents' generation as well.
Aye.
They've obviously, like generational, what does it say? Break the generational curse, which is something I'm very big on doing. Mm-hmm. One of the psychologists, was it Nicole
LaPere?
She's fantastic.
Holistic.
Her work.
Oh, no.
Her work, and see what she speaks about.
She's one of Fiona's favourites.
She does, and she talks about just even, you maybe say to somebody, how they always say speak your truth, so you might go like that to maybe your mum or dad, right? Or remember back then this happened, and they don't acknowledge it, they dismiss it. No, it never, don't be stupid, shut up. That never happened. And it's like, when you start learning how we are brought up,
but they're conditioned from their generation, like, and then it kind of trickles down, and obviously we're seeing different. I'm seeing problems that I don't like at schools, which they're teaching kids, and I'm going, I don't like that.
Me too.
But that's again, are we becoming that generation that and saying like, I don't agree with that, when I don't think it is the way forward, but it could be. Like, I mean, it might be. They might be getting it right. I think they're getting it totally wrong. But
I think they're getting it totally wrong as well.
It could be, and I'm open to somebody explaining, but nobody's been able to explain it good enough to me yet. No. The stuff that's going to be. Anyway, so we'll move on to. We'll probably take you on to like your. So how did you start maybe doing a wee bit of reading and maybe looking into recovery and stuff? How did you come into that kind of world?
Yeah, well, what happened was the biggest change in my life happened to my wee boy.
He's a wee cracker.
Yes. Yes. I know. I dread to see him, and I've grown up in a few years. But
he's definitely got a lot of energy. I'll give him that. But he's a wee cracker.
He is. And I was blessed with a wee boy, and it's me and him against the world. And I guess that's when everything changed. So I left Clydebank. I sold my house. And I just left. I fled. And nothing but the clothes in my back, really. Literally had lost everything. Was left with a mountain of debt and all that. But anyway, beautiful wee boy. And at this point, my mum and dad had come back in my life. And I think I had a brief stunt in Partick. See, I've moved about quite a lot. A brief stunt in Partick. I loved it. But it was a flat. It was 2 up in the West End. And I had some good times in it. And I think, but again, the problem was there was a lot of good things coming into my life. I'd started the line of work that I'm in now, which is community, tackling poverty, working for a charity, and all these good things were starting to happen. But the problem was I was still drinking and using cocaine. A lot. Well, I think, don't get me wrong,
maybe
had little spells off it. Of course it did decrease, But I was obviously
problematic.
I was left with a lot of problems for the relationship, obviously, as well. But again, it's okay getting away from something, and you put yourself into this new environment, but then what happens next? So it's easy enough just to be comfortable and go, well, do you know what? This we blew out at the weekends helping me. Do you know what I mean?
And you justify it because see at the end of the day, this is what it is. This is what people need to learn about addiction, and this is where I think these people that are making the legislation and making policies on drugs, they've not got the self, they've not got the lived experience. They don't know. So they're reading books that have been wrote by people that have never had addictions either, and then we're working on that as a policy. But don't get me wrong, it's changing, and they are bringing like people with lived experience into the picture now. Do you know what I mean? Which is good. So hopefully we're in an era. I mean, things are getting worse. Let's be honest, with the drug deaths and stuff. But hopefully they're looking at different ways it brings different. And some of the stuff I've seen recently, I'm kind of hopeful of. I'm what was it James Docherty said to me the other week? I'm a optimistic skeptic. Do you know what I mean? But I think.
Can I touch on what do you feel? What's some of the positives that you feel might happen in the future? So
I think me personally, I think the positives that I can see are. I think that the rights and stuff that we're seeing people getting, I think there's people. So I think that the awareness is starting to grow, right? I think there's an awareness level that's starting to go. I think people are becoming more spiritual again. Don't mean religion, right? But I think people are finding their spirit, and I think this is where. That's
kind of where I'm at,
When you connect,
1,000,000%.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily mean, and I'm not mocking the religion, because if that's where you find your safe space, go for it.
That's your higher power type thing,
But I fully believe that your spirit needs to be like cleansed. of the stuff that because it's stained. It's kind of stained over the years of different things, and I think. I can see a lot of people doing some good work with that. I can see like the people doing free cold water therapy, opening people's minds up to something that they would never ever have done. So this is where I can see a shift in the change of maybe the collective consciousness of the planet.
I totally agree.
But also on the spin side of that, we're getting the extremism stuff.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? We're getting the extreme right, extreme left, and you can't
anything extreme is wrong.
You can't be in the middle anywhere. You can't say this. If you agree with this, then you're a Zionist. If you agree with that, you're a Muslim lover, and you're like, it doesn't matter. Like I don't care. Like I'm honestly believing. Like I've got absolutely I don't hate racism. I hate all that kind of stuff. I do you know what I mean? I'm just not like that. I know you are, Vivienne.
I love other people in life, and don't get me wrong. I think I'm too people pleasing is actually something I'm working on. But what one of the positives, right? So obviously in Partick, I mean, I ended up over in Bonnybridge, and I think that's when a few big changes happened. I wanted, obviously, in fact, you'll know this, I remember I gave you that book, Rational Recovery. So even going back all the years, I knew that there was problems before I really properly went into recovery. I was actually touching on it with my sponsor last night about Rational Recovery. And she went, what was that about? And I went, well, basically, I was just slagging the steps.
I know.
She looked at me and I went, they went round America and basically just ripped apart.
What is it, the big book?
She went, and what did they say about addiction? That basically it's just on your head and it's a lie. So I was like, do you know, I felt like such an idiot actually saying it out loud.
But listen, Vivienne, for me, the best model of recovery is the 12 steps.
I agree fully.
Right? But I think that works for some people.
I think it does.
Some people just are able to go, do you know what, like, I need to stop, so like that works for some people. So whatever works for you, everybody's not the same. So I think it was a good book. I really go. There was a lot of stuff in it that was. I don't agree with.
It's a starting point.
It was a starting point, and it was probably the start of you being able to go. I've got issues here that I need to work through.
Yeah, so I get recommended that. So at that point in my life, and I'd always idolised. I'd always loved the gym. I used to go to Broadwood Gym. I used to like train. I think it was at the Tries, but I was in and out of the gym. So my ex actually, my ex-partner, I'll be honest, Dad was a bodybuilder. His friends became my friends. They were also bodybuilders. They competed. They won a lot. So from my early 20s, I idolised it. I idolised bikini girls. I idolised bodybuilders. And I went, do you know what? I think I was just at a stage. Beyond was maybe about 2, and I'd moved out way over to kind of Falkirk way. There's a big new gym, Muscle Hut, amazing, still is. And I was like, do you know what? this might be what I need. This might be the change. I love fitness. Why not go for something that, why be scared? And I think the biggest thing was COVID. COVID hit us, and that just changed me. I became, what does it say, woke? I stopped media, all news channels. I was into crystals. I was into podcasts and just all this self-love. Because at this point in my life, I knew myself. I need to change. I knew, and I tried so hard. So what I did was, luckily I had best friends that coached me.
Just to clarify, I would say definitely say you're no woke. Just to,
no.
I think woke's when you're like doing the kind of
okay.
aspects of like, I mean, it's like wokeism. It's like, I think it's like, and like, you agree with like all transgenders and that kind of, it's like, that's woke. I think it's far left, basically. I think that's
is that what that means?
I think, see,
that's when I use words.
I might be wrong here, and I might be talking into here, but I think that's kind of what, because you get the right people, the right to say like they don't like wokeism, but I think you probably had an awakening. I think. An
awakening? Aye, right. Okay, we'll leave the isms out it.
Just in case anybody who's watching thinks she woke.
We've got a thing in recovery, nothing ism.
I think you had an awakening.
Yeah. I did. I mean, I think seeing your son grow up day by day and just the hangovers and I was fed up with my own bullshit. I called my own bullshit, and I knew I was just so unhappy. There was always, see, the thing is with me, see what you're saying about spiritual, the problem 99.9% in life is always going to be spiritual.
Aye.
See, for me, this in here, and especially going through, I'm in recovery, right? I've always, there's something missing. It's always been a void. Never, even going through these good memories we've spoke about, the mad times, the happy times, I've always had a wee emptiness. And the bodybuilding, for some reason...
And that's just, you've not been connected to yourself.
Yeah.
It's a disconnect.
It started clicking in because what bodybuilding teaches you, what fitness in general, and it doesn't need to be extreme I am. You don't need to be extreme. But it's taught me to take back my own power. When I go in the gym, my mind switches off. It's silent. It gives me time to think. It gives me a lot of self-care because then I'm being disciplined in what I'm eating.
Aye.
I had chronic pain all over my back after my son. I held a lot of body fat. Everything's gone. All that inflammation, pain. Now, at one point, the doctors had me in tramadol, sulpadol. I had dihydrocodeine. I had Valium. I had Valium off the doctors. Antidepressant, sertraline, propanol. You're talking like 6 prescriptions when I stayed in party, right? And I was even on the amitriptyline at one point, bouncing off the walls. And this was given to me off doctors in my early 20s. And I was out my nut. And then I must have been walking about party.
No, because you're basically just you're changing one addiction to a prescribed addiction.
I loved it,
And what they're treating what you've been self-medicating for years, with cocaine and drink. They're now giving you something else that's going to help, but...
And then the sulpadol I loved. I started just taking them just for a sleep and stuff. And
I think that's rife, Vivienne. I think it's really rife. I think people don't understand that, like how addictive cocodamol, sulpadol, tramadol, all these kind of drugs, and people don't realise when you. The amount of people I've said when they say, "Oh, took a few tramadol," and that, I'll go, "Do you know that's like smack, don't you?" And they go,
"No, opium."
No, and you're like, "It's a fake. It's an opioid, mate. It's like it's very similar." And it's like people don't realise that the kind of drug branches that things come under. But so you've obviously, but I think, do you agree with me on this, that when the doctors, when you go in with maybe complex issues, they don't look for the root they don't look to solve the root, they look to solve the symptoms of that.
100%.
So you'll say, you'll go into them and you go, I'm fucked, I'm like depressed, right? Instead of asking why you're depressed, they'll just go, this sertraline will help you. Right? Oh, I've got anxiety, right? Diazepam will help you. And you're just looking for anything to kind of take that away, but you're still no...
Yeah, my health was in the gutter. So with the chronic pain, just before I started the bodybuilding, I was in hospital for 2 weeks. I had a breakdown, a full breakdown, mental breakdown. I was off work for maybe 2 or 3 months. Aye, so I ended up Bonnybridge and I went for it and I did it. I competed and it's the best thing I've ever, don't get me wrong, I never won
You've done
nothing.
amazing, man.
But it's the biggest
we will
life
show some of the
change.
photos and stuff. I mean, it was amazing.
It was the biggest life change in my life. It taught me I was able to do something for myself. I felt strong and I met wonderful girls. I met a community in the gym. My gym is just my mecca. But it taught me how to eat properly. It moved me away from all the junk food, all the inflammation in my body. And then not only that, it changed my life because everything that I've got now all stemmed from me taking that leap into the gym life. I ended up winning a scholarship over in America for the International Sports Science. And now I'm qualified. I'm a qualified nutritionist, PT, everything. I've done all the qualifications. And that was one of the best industries in America.
I knew that. I didn't even know that.
So and I did that in night school. So I've got all of them behind me. And that's how I'm hoping, obviously, to start my own business when I finally do get a wee minute. But right now I'm just loving life and there's a lot of opportunities coming my way and I'm just grasping everything because when you change your mindset, see when you take yourself out the matrix of maybe the G68 postcode, the very beginning when you're sitting with your mates thinking this is all your life, that's what you're living for. When you start moving away, or when you do move away, there's just opportunities everywhere. You need to allow yourself to be open to them.
So you need to be, I mean, I certainly need to, I'm actually going to go back to the gym I've been seeing it for a while, but I can feel it coming, do you know what I mean? Because you do need to, there is that alignment and that's where probably you look at chakras and stuff like that, and when you're looking at spirituality, if they're not aligned, you're still going to be a wee bit in conflict. It might not be as bad, but you're still, if your spirit and body aren't connected, then your spirit, body, mind are connected, there is still going to be a bit of conflict there, I think, and that's what we're all kind of aiming for, is to try and get that alignment where everything's in the same row. So what kind of, because obviously what you're releasing, right, when you go to the gym, you release endorphins, right? And a lot of people don't know this, but endorphins means indigenous morphine. So, obviously, like, you've given yourself basically a dose of morphine when you go to the gym. Do you know what I mean? So that's where
I'll be telling my coach this week.
No, it's weird. Indigenous morphine, endorphin. That's what it kind of means. So it's like that's obviously, and then you get dopamine releases, which is cocaine. So when you actually look at it, you're doing natural stuff that are producing the same chemicals that the drugs are getting. Only you're getting it in a much like better, safer, and in a way that's going to make your life better rather than make your life toxic. So, no, it's amazing, Viv. And obviously, as I say before we'll put up some photos and show people how well you actually did day. But so what kind of moved? Then you moved into the kind of recovery world from there. Is that right? Are we kind of dabbling with that in and out?
What happened?
Are we reading books and stuff at that time?
Reading books, self-care. I've always been a lover.
What kind of books would you recommend? Like, what kind of books helped you? Because we were talking a wee bit about books before, like.
There's the one. What's the one? Oh goodness.
Because I liked the Celestine Prophecy. I liked the Chimp Paradox. I like
that.
There was the Untethered Soul. And The Realm of the Hungry Ghost by Gabor Mate.
I like that one. I've got that actually. I've not finished that one. And what is it? The Body of the Score. That one.
I think the best book on addictions in The Realm of the Hungry Ghost. I think Gabor Mate nails it.
I'll need to go with that.
I do honestly think he nails it. But
I'll need to finish that one.
All these, so you're reading these self-help books, and does this drive you to start going into recovery, or do you get off? No.
Oh no. No me. So I'm one of these people. I probably airy-fairy about it. So I'm still doing I still am actively in my fitness now, and that will never ever be out of my life. That's now my identity. I trained for 3 hours before I came here the day. I was up at 5 a.m, out jogging, 3 hours in the gym. I love it. But anyway, no, I wish to say I had just went into recovery off my own back. That's not what happened.
No.
So obviously Bonnybridge, I was still on and off using, maybe not as much, but having my blowouts. Now at this point, the problem was when COVID hit, the sociable person that used to drink, maybe take cocaine, became the alone person that drank and took cocaine.
So you started doing this
I
isolated?
I started in Partick doing it. That's when COVID hit, and I went to Bonnybridge. I was sitting in my cell doing it, and then I was sitting up for days drinking, taking my cell. So I moved out of Springburn again, start a new life. I wasn't happy in Bonnybridge because it was too far out. I wanted back in Glasgow. So I moved back through to Glasgow. But
you often thinking, if I move house, I can start again?
Aye.
Like, is that what you were
I just ran. Do you know what? I had all this trauma. I've got all this trauma. I had all this trauma in my life. And for some reason, again, the solutions were always there. But see, when you are maybe not in a good place in life, you're not seeing what you should do.
Oh.
Nobody lives. I live alone. I've always lived alone. Nobody could see me in the mess I was in. I was able to hide it. And get away with it. So I went back out to Glasgow and things were just getting really, really bad. I was using a lot more. I was a lot more of the drug, staying up for a lot longer, and things came to my head. Now
Do you think there was a difference in strength of the drug, or do you think there was different stuff put through the drug? Because obviously this is at this stage is where I don't know about your work, but we often get reports of how much shite's in coke and all that now, and the difference and the strength of it and stuff. So
it's powerful.
Aye. Do you think that was it? Do you think that was it? Do you think that was
Aye, 100%. 100%. Like, because actually, I mean, when I think about it, I could literally have a little bit and stay up for days. Like, I didn't go through like, but aye, definitely. And it would be weird. You would notice it in your eyes, and you ended up like in a different dimension.
Aye.
So but what happened was, to not go into it all, but I was actually with one of your friends.
Aye.
When like I had been up for days and I never turned up to work, and this is for the Friday, this is Monday morning.
Aye.
And all of a sudden my mum, my dad and my work came through my door.
Aye.
On the Monday. Intervention.
Just an intervention.
Intervention.
And you sitting with one of, I think I know who it was.
Aye. And
he did bolt.
He started talking rubbish to all my bosses.
Oh no, I can imagine.
Aye, he did. Yeah, they found him quite a comical character.
Yeah, it's comical.
Yeah, it's comical. So he actually came down to the hospital with me. My bosses.
No, he's got a heart of gold.
He has. My mum and dad were livid. But this was probably one of the big things. Oh, quite rightly so.
Like, and it's scary, Vivienne, that you're
raging.
That you're in there, and now you've, because even see if you're partying and stuff like that, you can hide it a wee bit better, right? Maybe the older generation just maybe think you're out drinking and that and just having a good time. But when you're starting to isolate yourself,
I was isolating. I was doing it myself.
That's when kind of negative, suicidal thoughts
massively.
And all that all start creeping in, because
I was taking that much. I don't know how many. Sometimes I would take that much, hoping that something bad would just happen to me, because it was like, I want out this life so bad, and I don't know how to stop this. I was like such a mess. And how do you present yourself and tell people that you're in this mess? Because see, unless they actually physically see you in it,
I know
they can't. It was like,
what would have made you be like, no pick the phone up to Fiona? Would that just be?
I didn't want anyone to know.
Aye, so like it's just guilt and like kind of embarrassment and stuff, because it's quite common. This is very, very common. Well,
you think about it. I've got my social media. You see all the bodybuilding posts. Imagine it was like, oh, by the way, I do this as well 3 or 4 nights a week. But it's called. I like to call it imposter syndrome.
It is,
right. It is imposter syndrome. It's like, I've got my work, because you don't want to come out in case you get sacked for work. You don't want to tell your family in case my mum and dad they'll just get angry at me. They'll no understand. Or like, so many times I used to Google rehab and just think like how it was a lot of money. I was like, can a doctor put me in rehab? And there was so many things. I would always sit. But then what would happen is,
it's absolutely shocking, but the amount of hoops you need to jump through for rehab. It's outrageous. Crazy.
It's funny, see, just to touch on it before I go back, when I split up from my ex-partner, to be honest, I hadn't I knew I had a drug problem at that point. I got assessed, right, down at the Golden Hill in Clydebank. And I said, look, I'm using coke all the time. And know what they told me? It's just a phase. That was it. It had a list of questions. We were in a room. And I remember thinking.
And were you open and truthful with him, right?
Aye. And he says, just a phase you're going through because of the domestic violence. And I was like, right. But I was like,
this is a problem, Vivienne, right? See, if you have got a drink problem or a heroin problem, like that, which was the drugs of choice in the 90s and stuff, you were able to go in, right, and they were able to give you methadone, Buvidal, Suboxone, or dihydrocodone and stuff.
Yeah.
See, with cocaine, they don't know the replacement for it, right?
Aye.
So this is where people need to realise the drug of choice has changed over the years now. Like that heroin's very hard to get. It's not the same. The drug of choice has changed to cocaine.
Aye.
And the services aren't catching up with it.
No.
And this is why we're getting all these people getting caught in the trap, and we're getting drug deaths going up and people going, why we're putting money into it and all that. And it's because just exactly what you said there. You turn up looking for help. You should be at the very least, given some sort of, I mean, telling you it's just a phase is the worst thing they could probably tell you at that time, because you know it isn't. Do you know what I mean?
So but see, because he said that, I was like, all right.
Aye, all right, and I'll keep going for better. Keep going until the phase ends. That's what you would do. You would just go home and go, right, okay, it's just a phase.
It's just a phase.
I'll keep going to commit.
But that is funny how you said that's what I thought, because seeing the amount of times I looked for a good couple of years when I was just doing it. Just going through the, you know how until things really reach your head, you're going through the motions, don't you?
Aye.
And you just do it. It becomes just, maybe nothing really bad's happening. You're sitting in the house yourself doing it. You're kind of in a safe environment. Nobody's seen you doing it. You're still coping at this point to go to your work. You're no in debt or anything. But you know it's wrong, but it's just a phase. That did stick with me. One day I'll change. But it was never actually at the forefront of my head, because I thought, well, that was what I was told. I'll just stop.
It's absolutely shocking advice.
It's silly. I
don't even think a friend would give that advice.
No.
See, if you phoned a friend and went, listen, I'm fucking rattling gear every night and all that, and by the way, it's
just a phase.
Well, whatever, it's just a phase. You'll go, yeah. It's shocking. And this is where we need to.
Which a lot of times I did fall through the system, I think. But so what happened, going back to obviously the actual intervention day, I remember I went down to the hospital. I'll touch a wee bit on it. They weren't nice to me. So I had to go to for an assessment in a room. There's 3 of them. So a room like this, I was down that end, and she's like, I can't remember like some of the questions. But I remember she was just kind of like, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with you. You're just in a come down. I was like, aye. And I was sitting there. I was knackered.
And how long have you been rattling coke for this point? How long? Months?
Well, no, what, every day?
Aye.
No. I'd only been up since the Friday, but I just took a lot.
So it was like binges? Was it binges?
I was a binger.
Aye,
but don't get me wrong, I was maybe using some points at that point. I was maybe just at the weekends. I'd stopped, managed to quit the during the week stuff. I mean, in Partick, going back years ago, going back to Eastfield. Oh, I think in Eastfield I was taking it 5-6 nights.
Aye.
Easily.
Aye.
But then there was spells, obviously.
But the binges can be worse. Aye. Because you've got then the 2 or 3 days of dealing with everything and you're gonna come down.
I noticed being in, I mean, this is now going back, nearly, I can't remember, a couple of years, obviously, when all this happened with my work and intervention. I'm a few years down the line, thankfully. But my mental health was heavily, you know how drugs weaken your mind over years?
Aye.
You can't have the same tolerance. Remember when you're younger, you binge back the next day.
Aye.
Your body doesn't respond the same when you get older. And it's like you start thinking, oh, this negative stuff, and you get a bit, the paranoia, I think, was kicking in a lot. The fear. I'd be scared to open my curtains, and you know what I mean? It affects you different. It's not a party life. It's so far from that. You're creeping about the house.
It's the life that it's portrayed on. And especially this is where social media is bad, because everybody shows the good side of social media. You look at people's nights out and or whatever, and it all looks great, but then you phone that person, look, if he's had a good, no, but I end up fighting with so-and-so after it, or whatever, do you know what I mean? Or so-and-so would end up hanging, we had to go to the hospital with him or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, it's very dangerous at these stages with these copious amounts of drugs. And I think as a society, sometimes we celebrate the amount of drugs we're taking. At that point, when you're with that kind of group of people, you're going, like, laughing about the amount. And I know it sounds mad to people that maybe haven't took drugs before, but this is the insanity that starts to grow within the group. Do you know what I mean? So like, okay, right, so we're at the back, the intervention comes.
The intervention was, I mean, obviously, I've got a young son, and it was like, Vivienne, I didn't know at this point, I was like, I'm going to lose my son, I'm going to lose my job, I'm going to lose everything. But, nah, I've got to admit, like, I don't want to get emotional, but everyone was there for me. And it just was such a weight off my shoulders. For the first time in my life, I was honest with everybody about what I was living. And I'll never forget that moment, because I thought, there's nothing on me anymore. I don't need to hide this toxic, crazy life. And I got the help, and I went in. I'm still in recovery. Like, I go down to, you know, in fact, some of the people in there, didn't you? Is it Me to You, they're called? And I go down and I do a lot of recovery work. My work are supportive. They've helped me on my journey. My mum and dad, just night and day, our relationship, they're there for me. They give me time. I'm now in the AA, and I'm going through the steps as well. I've got a sponsor, and I'm still at the very start, a couple of years down the line, and it's the most amazing feeling, because I've never been me. The problem is, when you put down the substance in the drink, you're a shell. Who are you? What is it that you like? What do you dislike? Who are you? What's your personality? You don't know any of that. And as well, you've no done life the way you should have. So I'm learning. I'm learning to live. I experienced to live for the first time in my life without
feelings and all that.
That's the biggest one, is dealing with feelings and emotions.
You start getting the X Factor, getting that adverts and all that. I know.
It's amazing. But no,
listen, Vivienne, honestly,
all this help is there.
Be so proud of yourself. And I've always been your part of, obviously, and I know you're closer with Fiona than me, but I've always been your pal, and I'm so proud of what you've done. And you're a great mother. You're a great person, and you don't have a bad bone in your body. You don't. And everything you've been through, I'm so glad that you're starting to come to this new chapter. I don't want to. Obviously, we're kind of cut for time. So I know some of the stuff you're doing now. Like, so obviously we'll touch back on but what is some of the stuff that you've been able to do now that you're starting to find yourself? What is it that allowed you to go and find and do?
It's amazing. So since I started recovery, I'm very much still working in the job I'm in full time. I love it. I get to help other people every day as a welfare rights officer. But I work under a community investment team where I'm able to make a difference to people's lives every day out in the community, and that can range from helping with projects to doing obviously my day job to I'm doing a lot just trying to. I'm part of the Child Poverty Action Group. In addition, I'm hoping to get my fitness business that I'm running this year. I'm hoping to compete next year. I've got my ongoing training. I've got my coach. The gym is such a big part of my life and helping other people in that aspect. And then I've got Gers TV, which came into my life amazingly, just a one-off opportunity. Somebody contacted me, my boss, and he's like, how do you fancy this? I thought it was a warm-up. I was like, right. And now I'm going to the games, and I'm getting to do a lot of event work in the football for charity. We do so much charity work. I'm back over in Belfast. So
what kind of stuff does what kind of stuff does the Gers TV do? Because I know obviously you do a lot of good work in the community.
We do, yeah. We're predominantly we're a fan media. So our job's to basically we're a Rangers fan media channel now. Basically, football is, you know yourself, football's a big community, a tribe.
Aye, very big tribe.
Aye, I went into the biggest tribe. But it's we football as well, people, you realise there's a lot of isolation, there's a lot of poverty, and it's being able to see, we do live show, we've got podcasts, we run events as well. We maybe get like ex-players in, or we do like nights for charity. We work closely with all the pubs there. We've got lots of sponsors who help us do things, and we've got a fully kitted TV studio, so this season's going to be super exciting. We also go to the games, we do the reels, but we're a fan base for people to basically belong to a community through the Gers TV, but we're very close with people over in Ulster.
And he's open to like some, is there a pathway through? So say there's a Rangers fan maybe struggling, are they able to come through Gers TV and maybe get eyes? So that's an opening that's brilliant, Vivienne.
And we're always looking for people, if anyone ever loves football and they want to be involved, the work's there. We are always needing people, but
you can go to Broden's and find a few people, I'm sure.
Aye. Aye, right. Don't think Broden's is the one. I've seen a few of your friends outside it the other day, actually. No, but yeah, we're always looking for people, but as well, reach out. See if you're ever struggling. Please reach out to myself. Please reach out to the channel, But it's a great thing to be a part of. It's taught me a lot about myself, and it's fun. It's fun, and I've learned. I mean, I wouldn't have probably been able to do this today through it without having the skills that I've learned through Gers TV. It's taught me how to do public speaking, and basically just I love the football, obviously, but it does. You just meet incredible people. The thing is with football, a lot of people, that's all they have in their life.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
It really is.
It is. It's a good way to get access to people.
But you see a lot of people, what we're saying, isolated with.
Oh, massively.
And all their whole life revolves around like midweek games and Saturdays of the weekend and stuff, and they do nothing else.
Nothing else.
So I think it's a great way to try and maybe get people. But listen, some people are happy in that life if that's the way they want to be. I'm not like that they can batter in, do you know what I mean? But I think there's more to life than just football, do you know what I mean? I think you need to open your horizon up sometimes, do you know what I mean? And I think things like Celtic Foundation, Gers TV,
Rangers Charity Foundation,
these are things that are trying to
they do need to get bigger. I think the football, there's so much money, and Rangers and Celtic, they need to do more. I think as clubs, or they could be doing. I mean, the stuff that's in Glasgow. If Celtic and Rangers got involved, actually, fully committed, got involved, they could make a massive change because people would listen to their club. Do you know what I mean? So it's as we know, it's like it's divided, and it's not as bad as what it used to be. Thank God. Like there's I've got my pals are all mixed, the same as yours, Viv. Aye.
And you want your team to win, but it's certainly no. And I know people whose life it is that sort of day. Do you know what I mean? I know people that's like that. But I don't think they're fulfilled. The people that are just like that's their life. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they're fulfilled. I watch them and they're just go to the games, get mad with it, like I don't know what they do like during the week, but then it's all living for that weekend. It causes a lot of trouble with relationships because you're going away, staying, and so there is a lot.
The money.
I
was talking to somebody the other week down in Royston, and they were, because my wee boy's down in Royston, and they were just saying, I went and took out a massive loan for my season ticket, and my wife's like, that comes first.
Can't afford that. And listen, there's so many people out there that comes first, and they can't afford it. Do you know what I mean? And when you start looking down at the English Premiership, I mean, some of these season tickets, I don't $3,000 and all that. Do you know what I mean? It's
even a football top. So I mean, I was pricing the new tops £75.
I know, it's madness.
It's just madness.
It's madness. It's no right. It's no. But again, it's you're willing to help your club, and they are doing things. I mean, we've got, like as you say, there's these things going on, and you've the Paradise Recovery Cafe in Selleck Park as well, and
food banks,
the food banks and stuff. They're doing stuff. Do you know what I mean? There is a lot of things, and a lot of the players as well probably have got adversity in their life, or brothers, sisters that maybe have been involved in addiction, maybe been in the jail. So they'd probably be well. I know they are because I've heard that the guys have helped like behind the scenes. So I know, I definitely agree with you. I think they need to do more. But so obviously Gers TV, what else has been going on for you? Are you just looking to kind of
think the next steps is I really want to. My next step in my journey is to go through the 12 steps. I know a few of your friends actually watched one of your first podcasts with Ross. It's just phenomenal. So I'm looking, see for me this year, it really is nailing it now. It's coming together because stuff's like Gers TV, the bodybuilding, the competing, things, all these goals, we'll call them the long-term goals. But you need to have these dreams and passions, right? But the problem is you can't be the best version of yourself until you attack the daily habits and nail that. And that's, for me, that's certainly working through the steps, focusing on sobriety, focusing on recovery. Because see, all these other things will all come together in time. Do you know what I mean? Whereas they can end up distractions and then they can end up, maybe you can end up back into your old ways. So I need to be mindful every day that I put myself first and foremost, and most of all my son. He's thriving now.
Oh, of course, definitely.
He's into everything. He wants to be a YouTuber. So we've got a skateboard, we've got a BMX, and he wants to be a YouTuber. But you know what? I'm encouraging it. Go for it, wee man.
Definitely.
I said I would film him and create a wee channel.
Definitely.
So there we go. So.
But no, I think it's an amazing journey you've had, Viv, and I think that your awareness levels have definitely went up. Your awareness levels, and I think once you experience the way, I'm not a 12-stepper, right, and I wouldn't patronise them to say I was, do you know what I mean, because it's a hard work, it's a hard thing to do, the 12 steps, and anybody that does do it, like Ross and stuff like that, it's an amazing journey. And I take my hat off to anybody that does it, I really do, and I think that it's a phenomenal journey that anybody who's got any kind of problem should look into, because it's a way of life as well. It's not just about getting off that substance. It's about
spiritual.
It's
all in here. It's all about
and
yourself.
And it's not religious. Like a lot of people put off of this religious.
It's nothing to do with religion.
You just need to believe that there's a higher power.
A higher power
something
can be
higher,
anything.
You know what I mean? It can be anything. It can be yourself. A higher power can be that better version of you. Do you know what I mean? I always tell people, see, like I don't know what book it was in, I can't remember what book, right? But there's a book that tells you, I've mentioned this on a few podcasts, where it says to you, imagine yourself like you're 100 years old, right? And like your wee grandson or whatever comes up and says like, Vivienne, Granny Vivienne or whatever, tell me all about life, right? Tell me all about life. See, when you write that letter out, what would you put on it, right? You would put like the morals, values, right? You would put like enjoy yourself but don't get involved with this and boundaries, all these stuff. So you would think for yourself,
be a leader,
all this stuff, right?
Of course.
Now, see, when you actually read that letter, that's you. That is actually you, because that's what you want for them. So see, if you're not living by that, there's going to be conflict in your life, because you're not living the way you want to be.
Exactly.
So it's a great way to learn who you actually are and what your value and moral system is, what your moral compass is.
It's taking your ego away as well.
It does. You need. I mean, I mentioned him quite a lot. Big Eddie Gorman, like, was very high up in the kind of criminal world at one point, and he talks about how his ego had to be smashed before he was able to. And now he runs an amazing charity in Ayrshire, Harbour, for people with kind of like people that come out of prison and people with addiction problems and stuff. So, I mean, it's amazing stuff, and I think that a lot of the podcasts and stuff that are going on now, and a lot of the other stuff that's going on, and I'm not down in anybody, but they don't point out they plaster over it all, and they make it look glamorous. I agree.
I've been getting quite irritated with some of that at the moment.
I know, and I think it's because
you're so right.
You don't want to. Should people? People shouldn't be putting on. I know at least 2 or 3 people, right, that have been on, not saying names, but been on a certain podcast, and after they've been on that podcast, they've maybe got a bit of that kind of half an hour fame thing, and they've relapsed, and they've got themselves into really bad, and it's all about going on there and glamorising a life that wasn't glamorous anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's like talking about the jail, oh, I done this and I done that, and it's like come on, mate. I know we know like that's that, but don't don't ever let a young person hear you saying that and then wanting to think that that's the right thing to do. I don't understand why. I do, because it's a massive business. People are interested in crime. Do you know what I mean? But there's fictional crime, and then there's actually listening to somebody who's lived that life and somebody who's got that macho kind of, I can do this and I can and do everything myself, and these are usually the most lonely people and the most listen. We know them, like we know the people we're talking about, and I don't know how many people have reached out to me, people who you would never believe who have reached out to me and turned into God and turned into spirituality, and it was all people with huge egos that didn't believe that they could change. Do you know what I mean?
And it's a competitiveness as well, I find as well, when you start working on the spiritual journey. See all that, if you look at something and you get annoyed by it, jealous by it, you need to go and do work on yourself.
Aye.
Because that's people, the things that you don't like are the things that are missing in you.
Definitely. It's a mirror.
It's a mirror. It's
a way to look at yourself and say, what is it I'm missing it in? And it's learning the lesson for it. But a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll regurgitate that, and it'll come out as a poison, and they'll allow it to kind of consume them. Living in a victim mentality.
That is,
very, very hard to come out of. But honestly, people need to take that wee leap of faith and try and go, right, I need to come out of this, man. Like, it's no, this life's killing me. Do you know what I mean? We're being in literally, because we're talking about, I could name, I don't know, I could just know even that. There's so many I could name now that's died or have passed away.
Scary.
That through that life, do you know what I mean, Vivienne? Or maybe they're in prison for a long time or whatever.
I've lost and then you so look at people.
So see, if you were to take your group of pals, right, that you grew up with, how many of them are successful people now? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, the definition for me, success can be anything as long as you're, what is the definition of success? Is somebody that's fulfilled and happy and content?
I would be, success for me is
family, just content
joy,
and happy.
Joy, even if you bring finances into it, like if you bring
comfortable, not struggling.
Comfortable, not struggling, having a family.
Well, put it this way, it's far less than the other side, far less.
And it's a shame, because most of the guys as well that I know who are like that now, the young team are all laughing at them, and it's guys who are, they wouldn't have laughed at them when they were on their prime. Do you know what I mean? And Fiona used to say a great saying to me. She used to say, "See, if you peak at 16-year-old, it's not a good thing."
That's a good saying. She always comes out with bells, doesn't she?
She's definitely full of wisdom. But she's like, if you peak at 16-year-old,
that's great saying.
It's not a good thing. It's only, you can only go downhill.
That's true.
So you peak at 16 and you're the top man in your year. You think about all the people that very few of them are anything. Do you know what I mean? They're usually lost somewhere in addiction or in the prison system or whatever. But so, no, honestly, Vivienne, it's been absolutely amazing having you. I just want to, is there anything I've no covered that you'd like to cover? Like, is there anything like you'd like to speak about that I've no spoke about? No.
I'm more than happy. It's been an absolute honour to have invited on, and it's even nicer that I know you well. It's I don't know, it's just been like a chat with my good mate, a wee catch up.
I know, a catch up.
But no, it's been an absolute amazing time I've had.
What I always do, Vivienne, I just kind of give the guest the last wee message for like maybe anybody out there that is struggling with mental health, maybe struggling with addiction, whatever, kind of something like that. Like, what would you say to somebody that's maybe watching this that's maybe resonates with you?
There is a better life out there, and you just need to believe in yourself and reach out. I know it's the hardest thing to do when you're in any kind of traumatic situation or you're battling inside, but there is so much love and kindness out there. It took me such a long time, but as soon as I did it, everybody was there to catch me, and just anything at all, you can contact me. Likewise yourself. But there is, as much as we talk about the negatives, the positives always outweigh it, and love and kindness will always take over any negative. So just...
No, brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vivienne. Brilliant
Thank
having
you.
you. Thank you for it.